step-by-step guide on how I made my oatmeal. Yes. Guys, let's call this part one. So I add all my ingredients in my meat stock. Any other thing that does not come into this meat stock will not come later. The only thing I make provision for is salt. So I've added my pepper, I've added all the ingredients I needed for the soup. Yeah. So it's just a small soup I want to make. Let's say this is an experiment because this will be the first time I'll be trying oatmeal with oha soup. So do you guys remember that my fish? Oh my god, that fish that got spoiled. Yes, this is one of it. By the time I opened it, I was like, what the heck? So I had to put this head aside and said, okay, let's check the other body parts of the fish and see if we can get something out of it. And while deboning it, I saw that this side was fair enough to use. So I quickly deboned that, removed the back of the fish. Normally, I don't like using back. I don't add back of fish in my soup. I just don't see the need. Yes, so I just quickly removed the thing I see as fish and remove the back entirely. That's the skin of the fish. Yes, so by the time I looked at what was remaining, it doesn't just make sense. You see, my own oga, you will not eat soup that does not have a lot of obstacles in it. But this is an experiment soup, right? I just took some few meat from what I needed for my main soup just to make this experiment soup. So when I looked at it, I was like, no, I want my oga to eat this soup as well. I want him to have a taste of it, in as much I plan to make something small. So I added one more fish. I took a mangala fish that I have always had. So I just brought out one and I said, okay, let me just include this as well. Yes, this is my mangala's fish. So I didn't do too much. I just deboned it and added it in the hot water. You see this soup, guys. This is an experiment soup. It's an experiment soup. Emphasis on on experiments. Yeah. So this was while I was deboning the mangala. Yes, so I just added it because I knew I was going to wash it 3 times. Yeah, this was the second time I was washing this. Yeah, the first time I added hot water, the second time I added hot water, the third time I also added hot water. So this was the second time. I don't think I captured the third time I was doing this. So I washed it and the mangala, I said, you know what, go with the skin. I removed part of the skin, but I was like, I need this soup to have some obstacle that will encourage my oga to have a taste. So yeah, I was adding the fish to the meat stock and it was time to add my crayfish. Yeah, I don't know why I measure my crayfish with spoon with the normal eating spoon. So I just wanted to get the accurate measurements that I know would be okay for this small quantity of soup I'm experimenting on. And welcome our star ingredient. Yay! Make some noise for the oatmeal. Make some noise for the oat powder. So guys, this was me adding my oat powder. I wanted to make sure that I have enough for the soup. So yeah, at first I was adding the meat stock to the oats and something just came to my mind. I said, why using hot water, hot content to dissolve this oats? Just use normal cold water. And I would say this was my first mistake, but it actually had no impact. Yes, so I quickly got cold water and started mixing my oats. Yeah, here I was trying to dissolve every lump. We don't want lump in our soup, do we? No. So I was dissolving and dissolving. As you know, that bad spirit, I'll call it a bad spirit. That spirit that will tell you, that negative thought that will say, oh, this is too slurry. It's not a thickener. Shouldn't you make it thicker? at this moment. I just said no. It's a thickener, yes. Add more, add more. Guys, I plan making a soup that will eat once, just as an experiment, so that I will correct all my mistakes in my next soup. But then that thing that struck my mind, I said, is a thickener, just add more oats to it. This was actually my main mistake. Yeah, so at this point I was already adding my red oil to the mistake. Yes, my mistake was soft enough and I had to go ahead to add my red oil. And now it's time to add our star ingredients. Hell, guys, I ended up adding more water. You'll see that in part 2, because that was not what I actually planned. You see, if I hadn't made it more thicker, I wouldn't have had a need to add more water after all. But then, oh yeah. Part 2, wait for part 2.